Well, thanks for joining me. I'm really excited about this. I was thinking about it long and hard and trying to come up with a way to use scraps because I love strip quilting. That's kind of my thing, and I love finding new inventive ways to use strip and the quilting because I have so many scraps at home. And so anyway, I came up with this bag after doing a lot of research, and I just want to show you how cute it is. So look how fun that is. And actually what it is it's made of squares and sewing them together. Yeah. So anyway, let me just quickly show you how it goes together. Okay. So I just sewed up um, 3 different squares and I quilted them, and I took scraps at home and I pieced them together, and I pieced them in one big square like this, and I strip quilted them across, and I'll take you to the sewing machine and show it to you. And then what I had fun doing is just moving across the top and doing some free motion quilting across it to embellish it. And I used these 2 right here. I made these using different blocks. And this one right here in the front, I used just strips going across just to give it a little different look and a little different element so it doesn't look so matchy-matchy. And what I had fun doing was pulling the different colors, and you can tell that that they might all not look good together, but when it's a scrap quilt, it looks great together. So that was what was really fun. Is I love the process of picking out the strips, and you might have a big bag like I do of going through your strips and pulling them and putting them in separate piles, your blues here, your reds here, and your pinks, and then start pulling from them and showing them. And this one was a boo-boo right here. This one is actually wrong side out, but you would never know that I sewed that incorrectly. So let me show you what it's supposed to look like right here. This is what it actually looks like when it's sewn not on the right side. But if I hadn't have shown you, you would never have known that I screwed up on that one and put it on the wrong direction. But I left it because this is such a forgiving pattern and design that your mistakes, hey, you're just having fun. And my lines aren't exactly straight or anything like that. And that's what gives it the character. So if you want a fun, easy project to learn to get to know your sewing machine and your frame and how they work, the strip quilting is the way to go. It just allows you to learn the buttons. It allows you to learn how the channel locks work or how to move the machine across the frame. And it helps to give you helps to let you understand the steadiness and what it feels like as you're moving across. And it helps you recognize tension and problems like that. So it is very forgiving. So let me run over here and let me show you what I'm doing, and then I'm going to come back and cut them out and show you that. So as I was cutting, I cut out the strips, and I didn't cut them all the same size. So I cut out 2.5-inch strips. I cut out 3.5-inch strips, or 2 1/4. So cut them out different sizes because it gives it a more interesting look as you're placing them down and moving across the quilt. And you would think, oh, wow, that's such a busy design right here. Why would you want to put that in there? I just like it. It makes it a little quirky. And you can see right here that with all these little busy designs, it actually works. And actually this piece right here was a piece that I used in this one. So it worked out. So I was able to use extra scraps for two quilt. So let me move over here. And I'm going to come over here to the frame. Okay, so with my batting, I cut out a 20 by 20-inch square. And I cut out, sorry, I don't know which camera it is I'm supposed to be looking at. Okay, so camera 1, I'll hide there. Okay, so I cut out a 20 by 20-inch batting square, And it can be a little uneven, but try to make it as square as possible. And as I was quilting, on this purse here, I didn't put them on point. And I think it's a better look. So however you want to lay it on your backing, lay it on there, but I'm using the on point method, and that means that the tip of my diamond is on point, so it's facing straight up, and I'm sewing my strips across. And if I was just using a square like this, I would just have it facing this direction and then sew them across this way. So that's why I chose the on point method, because I just kind of wanted to show you the different ways that you can sew the strips on your square. So I cut it out, I brought it over, and I just have a thin piece of backing. And then I started, when it's on point, you start in the center of it, and you'll put a piece across, and then you'll just lay it down like this. And then what you'll do is you'll have one piece going like this. You want to lay it right side up so that your right side's showing, okay? So then the right side of the fabric is the fabric with the side of the fabric where the print side is showing. And then you'll want to lay your other piece on top of it, wrong side. So wrong sides together. And then you're just going to sew across, and then you're going to open it up like that. And that's how you'll do that center. So that's how I started. So that's how I started that piece. And now I'm just going to continue up it and finish sewing it. And you know how strip quilting is. It's just fun and easy, and it allows you to just... And so I want to put this as close to the edge because I want to have some scraps left over for another project. So I'm going to put it as close to the edge as possible. I'm going to bring my machine over to the edge right here, and I'm going to... You can see that I'm sewing the top side of it, so I'm going to move right along the top side and sew it down. And I'm going to kind of use my foot as my gauge. And you could use your channel locks if you wanted to, but on this one, you don't necessarily have to. I know on my strip quilt that's behind Nathan, that's what I used, is I used the channel locks. And I'm just going to move across using my foot as my guide. You can see I'm not exactly straight, but it's very forgiving. And that's all there is to it, to strip quilting. I'm just going to finish this up, and then I'm going to go back over to the table and show you how I cut out the squares. So see, there's one strip done. I just have a few more to go, and I laid out my strips right here. So I'm going to use, let's use this polka dot one because it's wide enough. And you can tell that and even the selvage on the edge, I don't mind that. If it shows up in the quilt, it's a scrappy quilt. I don't mind the selvages because I think they add another element of quirkiness and personality. But if you don't like it, you make sure that you cut off the selvages. That's fine. And you know what? I'm not even going to pull up my thread because I just want to keep going. I'm just going to keep going across it, and you'll see how fun it is. So see how the polka dot just added that extra little pop. Now let's put this, because it's a long, well, no, let's put this blue. That's a long enough piece. And you can see that even some of these strips aren't exactly straight, but that's okay. I like to take my hand and kind of hold it down like this. So this is a technique that I want to show you as you're moving across the top, tacking your sides of your quilt down on the edges. If you'll move your hand either on this side and kind of pull it down over the arm, it kind of gives it that extra little tension that you need to get any wrinkles out. So you could go this side or this side, doesn't matter. Just keep your hand away from the needle. That's all I care about. But you can see it just going across, and as I pull it down, it kind of gives me that extra little tension, and it'll keep all those little wrinkles out, so you're not going to get a little wrinkle in it. So that's one of those little tips that I use all the time. Sometimes I'll use 2 fingers and pull it down in between them, and you can see that it just makes it nice and smooth for you as you're quilting along. So almost done here. And then we'll go over and I'll show you the rest. So this one's wide enough, so I'm going to put my little wild child on here. And there again, I'm holding it down so I get that tension that I need as I'm moving across my And if you're really anal about how it sews on, just make sure that you're cutting it even and make sure that you get it the way you like it, because this is your quilt. And then just make sure that you're putting it, now we're putting it wrong sides together, but on that first one, as you start out, you want the right side up on the one, and then I'm just going to move across again. And the more you do it, the more steady the machine will start to feel. Another tip I want to give you is if you feel like the machine is just moving so free and you get a lot of wobbles in your quilt, if you have problems with that, take this take-up pole. This is a take-up pole that takes up all your layers of fabric. And if you're finding that you need a little bit more tension on your pole, then what you can do is have this pole lay right on the arm of the machine. So that'll give you that extra little friction and make it so it's not as easy to make those wobbles. And it's one of those little tips that it's just kind of easy. It works for somebody who is especially a beginning quilter and doesn't have the control that they really want. Just lay this down and it'll give you that extra little tension. So we're gonna keep going here, and I think this one might be wide enough, and add a little extra color here. So I'm gonna put this one right here. But this is what makes this so much fun, is that you get to pick and choose and have fun with your fabrics. And even if you don't think that the colors work, hey, they probably will. And you can see I'm not totally straight, but I'm not going to worry about it because nobody's ever going to know. The quilting police are not here today. I am going to end up with this one right here. I think this is large enough that it's going to reach the tip. Not quite sure. Yeah, we're pretty close. So I'm just going to cut this one off here, and then I'm going to take this off. And I just want to talk about the quilt clips as well, okay? So while I'm giving you tips and techniques as I'm quilting here, let's talk about quilt clips and the different sizes. So your quilt can start out on this pole right here. This is the backing pole, and it will have the backing and the batting and the top laid over it. And this is our Q-Zone Queen frame here, and it is a floating frame. So you're going to float your backing and your batting and your top. And so when you're starting out and using the quilt clips, it's nice to have the different sizes for as you're rolling your quilt. So they'll give you that nice even tension that you need. So I've started out, because I only have a small layer, with the quilt clips that come with the Q-Zone Queen frame, and it's the white clips. But if I had the batting rolled on this, and my top and my backing, then I would need a larger size, and I'd probably use the 1.5-inch quilt clips. And then for the larger size frames that have the wider poles, because this has a smaller pole, I would use the 2-inch quilt clips as well, because they really do come in handy, and they really help with that tension that you need. So let me just undo this, and let me take it back over, and let's cut it out, and let me show you how I cut it. So I'm just going to quickly cut it off right here and take it over to the frame and show you how let me cut these two off right here, right here. All right, let's go over to our mat, and I'm going to turn it over. Let me just lay this right here. And I need plenty of room here. So I'm going to move everything out of my way so that I can cut. All right, so I'm just going to turn it over, okay, right here. And I'm just going to quickly take my scissors and cut along the edges. And I could use my ruler and everything, but I think it's just easier right here. And you can see my lines aren't exactly straight, but I'm not worried about that. This is such a forgiving design. And if you want the pattern, I will have you email me, because I will have it ready for you, but it won't be ready until after the spring fling, because Carla was extremely busy this spring fling. But I will have it available. But it really is something that you could do even without a pattern, because all it is, like I said, are strips. But if you feel you want to know the sizes that I used and pictures of it, so that you know for sure, I'll have this pattern available for you, and you just email me, and my email is Carla with a K @graceframe.com. And I'd love to hear from you anyway. So despite that, you can tell me I sound like a young girl. It comes in handy when you're trying to get away from a solicitor. Just tell them my mommy's not home. So anyway, so see how cute and fun? So there's my quilt. So now I get to square it up, okay? So I'm just going to fold it over like this, and I'm going to use my 45-degree angle on my mat. And you know, we don't get to use that 45-degree very often, so this is kind of fun. So I'm going to line up my folded bottom on a line across my mat right here, and I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to find my 45-degree. And my 45-degree is right here, the center line right here. And that's the line that I'm going to use to cut. And I'm just going to take it, and I'm going to bring it down so that I don't have it all the way down, so I can see my 45 at this end and across the top at this end. And I'm just going to even it up and cut. And you can see that I have my guide on this, which is fine. There you go. Oh, I almost did it. There we go. So there's one angle cut, okay? So now I'm just going to turn it over and cut my other angle. And I'm just going to turn it like this and use that same 45-degree, because I have a hard time cutting the other direction. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to kind of angle it off. And that's why that tip, it comes in handy, but then I'm just going to raise it up so that I can see both ends. I'm going to align my ruler, and then I'm going to cut. almost, there was a lot of layers. There we go. So now I have my square. Okay, so now let's quickly talk about it because I'm running out of time here. Okay, so let's talk about how we sew this together. Okay, so what you're going to do is wrong sides together. Okay, so you're going to have it on the inside here. All right, and you're going to sew the two, like I have, squares, and you're going to just sew down from one corner to this point and then back up. And that's going to give you one side of it. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to take your next one that you want to use, and you're going to do the same thing. So you're going to match up your points here, and you're going to sew from one corner to the next, okay? And you're going to sew that one to that one, and that will give you your bag. You're going to pull them right sides out, and you'll notice that the corners, the bottom corners, just naturally pull in. And then you're going to take your lining, whatever your lining, if you want to, whatever color you want, and you're just going to sew it on with the wrong sides out, and then you're going to leave a little gap so that you can pull it through, and then you'll have your quilt. And I just put some little buttons in here, some little magnetic buttons right here to close it off. And then for the handle, you can go hog wild and do whatever you want with your handle. You can use a strap that you can purchase with little hooks on each side. I just found some cording and I put a little wrap around it. You know, it's been a long time since I've done anything like this. And so I just kind of had fun playing around with it and making my own. And then I just sewed down the sides and across, and then I whip stitched it to the handle right here so it's nice and sturdy. So it's kind of a raggy looking handle here, but I could have used a strap with some hooks right here and right here as well. So I could have matched the hooks up right here on this corner and this corner, and then attached the little straps to it. So you can make this your own. And another thing you could do is actually make one more square, make 4 squares, and fill in this area with one and make it so it's straight across the top. There are so many variations, just like with strip quilting, that you can use to make this your own. And so go and try it out. And like I said, I will have the instructions done so that you can work on your own, but really, it'll take you no time at all. I did this one last night. This one took another, few hours to make. But once you have your scraps all cut, which I know you do, you can just have fun and create. And it's beyond your imagination. So go for it. Have fun.
Wonderful, Carla. I'm going to have you hang out for a minute and see if there's a couple questions. But okay. I just want to say thank you so much. That was so awesome. Carla probably goes like, yeah, I hear this from Nathan too often, but it's just so true. I just love Carla's mind gets working. And in fact, there's like a couple challenges. She's like, oh, I'm going to have to try to come up with a new solution because I had this idea. And I'm like, good luck. And then, you know, a weekend goes by and she probably spends every hour of the weekend, all night into the early morning and early mornings. And she goes like, I have this great solution. So it's really fun, Carla, to have you share with us some of these great ideas. I did see a lot of these comments, and I think the answer would be, yeah. They were like, oh, this would be a great way to do like a scrappy quilt or a baby quilt. And you would say,
yeah,
heck yeah. Yeah. In fact, that's one thing she'll be taking part of this process, and later on as her baby bubbles quilt, she's going to show you another way to add to and kind of change this a little bit, elaborate on this whole concept and this idea. So Carla, that's been really, really fantastic. We're getting a lot of people just saying thanks, wonderful, great tips, great ideas, again, great tips. And again, a lot of people are like, well, how do we get back to watch this again? Maybe I'll just put that out there for everyone as a whole. Feel free to you log back into your dashboard, we're going to continue to post and keep these, we'll repost them later so that you have access to this content so you can come back to it at times that are most convenient for you. So with that, again, it's been really fun. Let's get down to the bottom here. We just have more people saying, thank you, Carla, such a great idea. I love it. Cute bag. I'm trying to think if there's anything that's coming up. Can't wait to do the scrappy quilt with this idea. Great way to use them. Cute bag, very cute. So thank you everybody for their comments on this. I think we're going to be good with that, Carla.